Hey, what's up, Modern Man? What's going on? It's Brooks, and I wanted to send you guys a recap of our first men's group last night. Thank you to the 10 gentlemen from around the world who joined us last night. It was really fantastic. But I'm dropping this here so you can get a quick recap of some of the ground that we covered last night. So when you come in next week, you'll have some basic ground of understanding so you know where we're picking up. The first thing is we talked about some guidelines for our sharing. Okay, what we call like rules of engagement or guidelines for engagement. And the first guideline was to bring your whole self. Now, it's easy to let the resistance of not feeling your best get in the way of showing up. And so I want you to know that you're here to receive support, and what better time to receive support than when we're not feeling our best. So being in the understanding that your whole self is welcome even if you're not feeling your best. That's where we wanted to start. And the second one is that this entire project is a practice in its essence in active listening. Active listening is a form of mindfulness, and so it's easy to let thoughts derail our attention from really soaking in what someone is saying, and a lot of that can come from them saying something that is creating some sort of inner disturbance, right or wrong. But we notice that something is happening, our attention gets out of whack, and we get out of the practice of active listening. But getting back to that practice of active listening, it allows us to be with the person and what they're sharing, and out of our minds, out of like what we're interpreting of what they're doing. Just being with the experience is very powerful. We also talked about no advice. No advice. You're not supposed to use your sharing time to offer advice to another man. It's your space to talk about your whole self and what you're going through. And number 4 is in the same vein, it's no rebuttals. We're not going to spend our time rebuttaling with another man. And again, this entire thing is focusing on ourselves, focusing on our I, and making sure that we're getting better. Okay, so number 5 is no apologies. So I don't mean be an asshole without making apologies, right? What I mean is if you're experiencing a real moment, a moment of sadness, a moment of frustration, a moment of anger, that you're welcome to bring that in with no apologies, man. And I want you to know that your whole self is welcome. So those are the 5 rules for engagement. We also had the 4 pillars of manhood. I'm going to read them to you here. The first one is that modern men are responsible for their actions. And we're going to talk more deeply about responsibility, but we are responsible for our actions. And that's a very small statement, and it's also a very huge statement. It's small because I've heard it a million times, but it's huge because I've heard it a million times before it finally sank in that I am responsible for what happens and not what happens, but how I choose to be, what I choose to do as things are happening. The second one, modern men respect themselves and other men. So if you adopt the first pillar, which is that we are responsible for our own actions, then the second pillar is soon to follow. If you are taking responsibility of your own actions, you will then respect yourself enough to give yourself what you need to be successful. And once you do that, then you can start seeing it in other people. But before you have taken the respect back for yourself and given yourself what you need, we cannot begin to respect another person if we don't know what it's like to first respect ourselves. The third pillar is that modern men ask for support. Now, 1 + 2 = 3. If you are taking responsibility for yourself, and you are then respecting yourself enough to give yourself what you need, then you will reach a point where you realize that you have your limits and boundaries, and then it's okay to ask for support in different areas of your life. And so, since you respect yourself enough, you are able to respect other people enough to trust them to help you and give you the support that you need. And pillar number 4 is modern men are simple, and that is an acronym. Stands for strong, insightful, mindful, polite, loving, and empathetic. And by cultivating these 6 character traits and putting them together with the first 3 pillars, then we become very, very sturdy Now, the cool thing is that 4 is actually a really sturdy number. 3 is pretty sturdy, but it's not as sturdy as 4. And so if you look up the words associated with the number 4, you'll find words like practicality, organization, exactitude, which is very, very sturdy, service, patience, devotion, application, pragmatism, patriotism, dignity, trust, worthiness, endurance, loyalty, mastery, building solid foundations, conservatism, determination, production, and hard work. Whew! That's a lot. But many of these words are associated with masculine energy. In the tarot, the 4 is the emperor. It's a very sturdy number, and that's why I chose 4 as the pillars for our modern manhood. Okay, and to finish up the recap, our topic of the week was, what does it mean to be strong? And as you might imagine, we didn't get one sturdy, clear answer. Why is that? Well, let's go over some of the answers that we did get. To me, strength is mental perseverance. To know and articulate my feelings is what strength means to me. Strength is consistency. Strength is balance. Strength is taking action and using my voice. Strength is vulnerability. Now, the truth is, strength is what you define it as. Strength is contextual. Strong for what? I can deadlift 500 pounds. I'm strong. Strong for what? Can you climb that tree? Can you have that tough conversation with your spouse or with a friend? Strong for what? So the big takeaway is that no matter how we define strength, if we want to cultivate it, and whatever that means to you, if you want to cultivate strength, it's your responsibility. It's mine. It's mine to do so. Now, the question is do I respect myself enough to cultivate it? Am I, modern man enough to ask for support where I need it? That is why we're here, after all. Years in the journey. Brooks.